Welcome to Andorks, everyone, the podcast where every week we'll analyze and scrutinize the Star Wars series Andor 7 minutes at a time. My name is Rusteen Honardoost.
And I'm Alex Wolinetz.
Previously on Andorks, Andor was being shaken down by two corpos for 300 credits, and today we're going to get to see how he deals with them. We're also going to get to visit Ferrix, see
no
a little
spoilers.
bit. Spoiler alert for the following 7 minutes. We're gonna get to see Ferrix. We'll get a little flashback into Kassa's life, and we'll get to meet my favorite character of this show.
Well, shall we get into it?
Yeah. Last we left Andor, Kravis was holding a gun to the back of his head while Skiff went to search his pockets looking for money. Kravis even takes the opportunity to whack Andor upside the head, but Andor doesn't let that faze him. And then Skiff reaches into one pocket, it's not there, and he's like, oh, it's in my other pocket, actually, which should have been their first real tell that this is not going to go well for them.
Two big dummies.
It's almost like a Three Stooges routine of like, no, my other pocket. This is obviously, I think this is like a rehearsed move of Andor's. I have to imagine, he has a lot of creditors who he owes money to, and I have to imagine he's done this to somebody.
Well, that was my question. I don't get the feeling that he is this is something he's done many times before.
I think that he's pulled this specific trick on somebody before, but the consequences of it are not something that he's prepared for. And I don't think he's ever done it on somebody as kind of powerful as these two are.
Yeah.
Because, when Skiff reaches to check his other pocket, Andor headbutts him. He grabs Kravis's gun, and this fight happens that is not very pretty. And when he punches Kravis in the throat and steals his gun, he's shouting, like, tell me what to do. Like, I think it's very clear that he has no idea what he's just done and is asking even the people he just beat up for, like, how do I get out of this?
Yeah. I think to put a point on it, do we think Cassian Andor has killed anybody before?
No.
I agree.
Absolutely not. He looks so scared when Kravis says that Skiff isn't breathing, and he kind of insists that it's not actually real. He's like, no, this must be a trick that you guys are playing.
No, he looks Diego Luna plays this incredibly. He looks so confused and distraught and doesn't really know how to react to what's going on, which, makes us wonder, how long has he been looking for his sister? How long has he decided to sort of fall down this rabbit hole?
It really feels to me like this is all happening for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, maybe he's asked around before, but he must have heard, like, there was a Canary girl in this brothel, and that's what sent him over there. And now that he's finally worked up the courage to go searching for his sister, it's kind of all blown up in his face in that he has bitten off way more than he can chew.
Yeah, I must admit, I went to the bowels of hell, also known as Wikipedia, to do some prep in advance. And I found out that Ferrix is neighbors to Preox Morlana.
Mm-hmm.
They are right next to each other. So this is the equivalent of him going into the city.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, this is not a huge jump where he's been traveling all across space. This is just the city next door. Yeah,
he's kind of like, I kind of imagined Ferrix as being like on the wrong side of the Imperial train tracks, Like, Morlana is the big city and Ferrix is like the Tatooine, the kind of hick working class town, which I think we can get into a little later too once we actually touch foot on the planet.
But back to you recapping what happened. So he's fighting. He accidentally kills the very British number 2.
Yeah, poor Verlo must have fallen and hidden his head on the ground or something and dies. And Kravis is sad, and then he looks at Andor's gun and realizes before Andor that he is the one holding all the cards now. And that's when Kravis starts to kind of spin this story that, we can just say it was a mistake. We bit off more than we can chew. We fucked up. let's go in together and we'll tell them exactly what happened. And that's when Andor puts a laser bolt through Kraviz's head.
I wish I prepped more and did a parody of It's Raining, It's Pouring, The Old Man is Snoring, but about how he doesn't get up in the morning because they're both dead.
It's raining, It's pouring, the corpo is dead.
There we go, exactly. He bumped his head and now he's dead.
Yes, exactly. Looking ahead at I guess actually not looking ahead, looking back at Rogue One, which is really the first place that we met Andor. The opening scene of that is him killing an informant in a really cold-blooded way.
Yeah.
And this is the exact opposite
right.
of that, where he's doing the same action of kind of killing somebody to protect himself. But this is a totally selfish action that he's doing, whereas that is for the rebellion. And while that is a cold, calculated move, this is not calculated in any way. And it's going to blow up in his face.
By the movie, he knows firmly his stand your ground laws, rights.
Exactly. Yeah, and then after that, he runs down the causeway in reverse of that opening shot, which I think is just a brilliant bit of filmmaking to show how he has changed because of this inciting incident, where before he was walking very deliberately, and now he is just in pure fight or flight.
Get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out of here. This is the most uncut gems this first episode gets, and I just love this whole sequence. I think this whole sequence does such a good job of giving you a guy, what does he want, and how does he fuck this up, and then we're gonna, through the rest of this episode, see all of the negative repercussions that come from this.
No, I think that's a really good read on it. He eats himself the fuck out of there.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to talk about who's coming in after Cassian disappears?
Yeah, because Andor, he runs away, gets in his ship, flies out of Morlana, and we land on Ferrix, which is given the Chiron that it's in the Morlani system and the free trade sector, like you're saying, that these are neighboring planets to each other. And then we get to meet the real hero of the story for me, which is little B2 Emo.
I have some thoughts about B2 Emo, whether we should love him or not, but we can hold on to that for a little bit if you want to.
I think this is our intro to him. I mean, he's riding down that gravel road. He's got his little whirs and mumbles. 3 Corellian hounds, which are also known as Sibian hounds, which is an odd name. They run past and one of them stops and pees on him, which is just such a funny little droid indignity that he then gets to reverse by zapping the hound.
So my thoughts on B2 Emo is, one, the first time I watched this is bring back the Mechanical Liberation Front, the pro-robot that they covered briefly in the Solo movie and then ran away from forever, of our droids sentient. But is B2 Emo AI?
An artificial intelligence? Yes.
So is this pro-AI propaganda?
I think that...
Is he sort of an open B2 Emo sort of situation? Is he Grok? Is B2 Emo Grok?
B2 Emo is more like an appliance that has AI tools integrated into him. He's supposed to basically
something that we all want to buy is basic tools with AI integration.
But I mean, if you had a toolbox that could also talk to you and help you figure out what tools you need to, break apart some scrap and get at what's valuable underneath, that would be helpful.
Thanks, Sam Altman.
Look, I am very pro-droid. I love droids. They are some of my favorite characters in Star Wars.
I love droids too, but I guess in our current moment, I'm a little concerned about how much I'm willing to love a robot that's designed to take away people's jobs.
I think that in the world of Star Wars, droids can generally have so much humanity to them that there's clearly something beyond just large language model that is giving them personhood.
B2 Emo, generate me a photo of sexy SpongeBob.
In the Star Wars universe, the way the droids work, and the reason why some have personalities and some do not, is that while they are operating, they are creating their personalities. but certain people constantly mind wipe their droids to keep them at like base factory settings. Whereas somebody like R2D2, C3PO, and B2 Emo, these droids do not get mind wiped. And so as they are navigating the world, they accumulate all these little quirks that then resemble what we call a personality.
And this was all planned in advance and not a rationalization for...
Obviously.
Yes, yeah. And not, a overcompensation for a mixture of choices made in the original movies that are now forced to reckon with. But yeah, so I love B2 Emo. I have to admit, I'm morally compromised.
Look, if any tech company got close to giving us something as both cute and helpful as B2, I would feel much differently. But instead, they seem to only want to make the most hideous AI creations possible. They're much more interested in taking our brains out of our heads than putting brains into an android.
I'm very excited to announce our new AI model where B2 Emo will sing you the Gin Blossoms.
What?
There's all the videos of like Hank Hill doing like
oh yes Homer Simpson singing The Killers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Jealousy.
The score that B2 has to kind of go along with his entrance is so like cute and jaunty, which I think like helps to sell that this is a heroic character for us to be excited to get to see more of.
And he gets sort of a WALL-E entrance of him going through the piles of wreckage. Like
exactly. Yeah, he's very WALL-E coded. He's basically like a combination of a toolbox and a tractor to lug cargo.
And an old dog.
And he's a very old dog, which we'll see because he travels through a junkyard and finds Cassian asleep. And he has a little stutter to him. But we also hear him call Cassian Kassa, which then takes us into our first flashback sequence where we see Cassian as a child.
It's very funny that the robot like uses his real name when he's not. It's like your parent, like Alexander. Like he knows the name that will flash him back and wake him up.
Mm-hmm. It shows such a connection between these two that B2 is one of the only people
who knows his real name
in the entire galaxy. Yeah, who knows his real name? I doubt any other character. I doubt even Bix maybe even knows his true name. But yeah, that takes us to this flashback, which we have at this point no clue kind of what's happening other than there's this kind of Lord of the Flies situation happening where it's a society of like all children.
Yeah, some sort of Peter Pan world.
Mm-hmm. They're speaking like an alien language that has no subtitles, which I think is a really interesting choice as well.
Yeah, we're just getting parenthetical shouting in Canary.
Mm-hmm. It looks like a society that does have a leader because when the kids look up and they see this ship burning through the sky, one of the kids like is kind of excited and like shouting for help, but then their leader basically tells her to shut up. And then we see Kassa, which is Cassian's real name, comforting a character who I think is his sister.
Yeah.
As the ship crashes in the distance.
Yeah, I think we'll get into this more, but I think, do we want to talk a little bit more about Kalani?
I think we can. Do you mean talk about just like Ferrix or?
I guess in. It's such a quick flashback. I think maybe we want to save it for when it comes back a little bit later to talk about what's going on here and what it means story-wise and what it means within the world of Andor.
Yeah, I think what we can talk about in this moment is how we
can confirm that Cassian was once a child. Like these are things that we can now confirm.
We're seeing the sister that we know that he's looking for, and also it's a very ominous sign that we can already tell like something was wrong in his past, that like he's living in this society with no adults in it, and now just like killing the two corpos is an ominous moment in Andor's life, this was another one from his childhood, I think, is the parallel that's kind of being drawn by putting those two scenes back to back.
I think that makes sense.
We'll talk more about like what is actually happening on Kenari as like we get some more details about it. But this little glimpse is all that we get right now before B2 does successfully wake up little Cassian.
Wakes up big Cassian.
But to B2, he's still a child.
He's still little Cassian.
Little Kassa.
Yeah, he brings him a little med pack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's so helpful. He's such an eager dog trying to help out his master, and he's just so worried about Cassian. And then he has like a little stutter that happens like every time he's trying to recall something. Like his memory is hiccuping, trying to process information.
I took note here. It's also some great Star Wars names in Jezzy and Femi.
Yes. Those are characters we'll get to meet later on.
The names are... and again, every episode I will bring up good Star Wars names. And Jezzy and Femi are some real... Jezzi and Femmi are some really good Star Wars names.
See, double consonant.
Yeah, you're right.
Is, I think, one of the most important parts of a Star Wars name.
They started with Jezza, and then it became Jezzy.
Someone was a Jeremy Corbyn fan. I can see it.
It makes sense.
B2 kind of shows up and is recounting what happened to Andor last night. Who came by looking for him, because it's clear that Andor is trying to like put together his cover story. And that's when B2 tells him that Brasso came by, who we're going to get to meet in the next episode. There's a moment where he pauses for data lag, and this is really when like he won my heart as someone who's had old dogs.
I thought he's doing that as a joke.
No, that's real.
No, I thought he's doing that to cover up for like he doesn't want to understand what Cassian is saying.
No, he literally says like pause for data lag. I think that's like him like reading out like an error message in his like code.
One second, let me pull this up, because the way I read it was him. It's the same way he's processing. He has to process a lie.
Yeah, because then Andor has to like give him a little smack on the head to get him moving again. So I think this is like literally like he doesn't have enough memory.
Okay.
Like his memory is all clogged up again because like he probably hasn't been like rebooted ever because he has the same personality as he did, before.
I'll go with your reading of it, as opposed to me viewing him as a little stinker.
He's not a stinker, though. He's so, like, pure and earnest, know?
Those are two... He goes, those are two lies.
Which is true. He's so proud because Andor asks him, he says, I know it takes a lot of energy for you to lie, but I need you to lie for me. And B2 is so proud to say that I have adequate power reserves to lie for you. But then Andor, gives him two lies, and he has to think and say, wait a minute, I don't have enough power for two. I know I'm going to go home and charge.
Yes.
Which is just so cute. He's such a good little guy.
So then what's our timestamp?
We're about halfway through our 7 minutes here, which around this point is when we'll actually hear the chimes of the time grappler ring through Ferrix, which we're later going to learn is because this guy's cool. The time grappler is cool, okay?
The chimes of the time grappler.
It's the cool guy. He's got like a big anvil and he like bangs.
So just call him the anvil guy.
It's the time grappler. And this is what
we love to grapple time.
We look, when you are working in a scrapyard, you are grappling time. One last thought about B2 is that a behind-the-scenes fact about B2 is that it takes 3 performers to operate him. One is driving him around. The other is rotating and managing like the carousel of like his body. And then there's a third performer for his head. And this person, his name is Dave Chapman. And while they were on set, he was the one performing the lines for B2.
Doing a temp voice.
Yeah, doing the temp voice, but then John Gilroy and Tony say that when they were auditioning voice actors for the role, they just really loved Chapman's delivery of B2, and he ended up keeping the part and is the actual voice of B2 now. And I think he does an amazing job. It's such a heartfelt performance.
Yeah, I think it's another thing we're going to talk about a lot of how much of Andor is a traditional Star Wars story and how much of Andor is a embarkation from that. People go, oh, I don't like Star Wars, but I like Andor.
Yeah.
We now have our protagonist and their cute little robot, which is a thing that happens with every Star Wars story. we have the young protagonist who has this cute little robot friend. That, that is R2 in the originals, and then R2 again in the prequels, and then BB-8. So we have our little guys, which is just a constant for Star Wars protagonists.
And I think this character is important in these stories because they are the one who always has your back, no matter what. Like, even in the darkest moments, R2 is really the one who comes and, like, saves the day for Luke and Anakin and everybody, like, so many times over the course of the movies. But I think one thing that's different about Andor and B2's relationship is that Andor is a little bit more, I don't know if manipulative is the right word, but he uses B2 in a way that leaves B2 sad.
Yeah.
Like, he makes B2 sad by, like, leaving him behind, and he cleans him out, so he's clearly, he pulls a piece of scrap out from B2's gears, but he still is, like, kind of pushing B2 off. B2 just wants to follow him around.
Yeah, he hates
from
AI.
room to room. But he loves B2. I think it's just in the same way that, like, maybe you start to take your childhood dog for granted until they're no longer around. He kind of pushes B2 away because he's just so busy. Like, I don't have time to play with you right now. I need to go and cover up my double homicide.
Whoopsie
daisy. It's at that point that we then walk through the streets of Ferrix for the first time, which is this very brown but also bustling city. Everyone is dressed in, like, this colorful workwear. And production designer Luke Hull says that this was a reference both to, like, 1920s Amsterdam in the design, but that also the scavenging and the work that they're doing is also supposed to evoke longshoremen in Belfast, Northern Ireland, who were building all of, like, the warships for England back in whatever World War they were a part of.
Yeah, I just want to make a note here. I don't know. I'm sure there is a name for him, but let's see, I have the timestamp here. Oh, at 1436, there is a really good alien lord.
Yes.
He's a really big guy.
That's our first certified freak, I think.
Do we know his name?
No idea. He's a big kind of gorilla guy, and he's got, like, a yellow power suit like aliens.
He looks like he's wearing the body of Bumblebee.
Oh, yeah.
He's wearing the corpse of Bumblebee, the Transformer. Oh, man, he's so good.
Yeah.
Let me know his name. Let me be his friend.
There are only, like, a handful of aliens that we see in this sequence. There's also, like, kind of like a weird, like, lizardy guy behind Andor at one point.
There's also a person with really big sunglasses. I don't know if you noticed them.
I did not notice that.
If you go in at 1440 viewers on the Disney Plus streaming app, there's just, like, a guy with big sunglasses. I want to know what his.
Oh, hell yeah. That rocks.
How big would you describe these sunglasses, Rusteen?
Those sunglasses are at least 4.5 inches diagonally across each lens.
It's very important to wear your big sunglasses when you're on Ferrix. Well, yeah, I think we're going to talk about Ferrix a lot. I refer to it as Space Pittsburgh, but I think I think the port cities are a really important thing. And I think it's an important thing to compare to what we'll learn about Kenari is this is not a natural resource that they are taking out of their planet.
Yeah.
There is something here of we are taking the garbage that you have created and making something out of the garbage, but they are dealing with the product of the Empire and the Republic, presumably. It is a depot for transforming and dealing with this refuse and this detritus that exists, and they're trying to reform something out of it, which is sort of an interesting. If we're figuring out the economy of the show, they exist in this sort of. They require They only exist because of the excess of the Empire.
Yeah, unlike the longshoremen that inspired this, they were building weapons of, travel and war. But here, Ferrix is tearing them apart. Like, even the Empire at its most powerful is already kind of taking everything the Republic had and scrapping it for parts. And this is actually something that we'll later see allows the rebellion to take hold, because they're able to use this scrap that the Empire is throwing away against them.
Yeah.
And the last kind of major thing that we really see here is this wall of work gloves that conspicuously has one slot missing, which I think is supposed to be Andor's work gloves, but he didn't show up to work this morning. And these are basically stored whenever you're not working, almost like a timesheet, basically.
Yeah,
to say that
I looked this up, but it's designed for when people are in mines, that if there was a mine collapse, they would know who was inside.
Wow.
So that is there as sort of, okay, we know who's inside, who's not inside.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's not a natural resource, I think there is a really deep connection between Ferrix and Appalachia and mine and digging mines and sort of the working class nature of those economies and how they graft onto the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, why don't we dive into that a little bit, since this is kind of our first real peek at it.
Well, first of all, I think why is it getting your own gloves not a thing at Galaxy's Edge? You can make your own lightsaber, you can make your own droid. Let's make fancy gloves. I'm sure people will pay $300 for that.
Hear me out. Carhartt, Disney, collab, Ferrix workwear.
I'm all in.
Would go so hard.
But yeah, I think we're going to return to Ferrix a lot, and we'll have plenty of time to talk about it, considering we are going to be so micro-focusing on this show. But I think there is sort of this, again, if we compare Ferrix to Tatooine, it's a little bit more developed economically. Mm-hmm. It's not just a natural resource that they're plumbing out. It is this sort of middle ground working class existence. And I think that is so important to how Cassian is going to view the world, and also how this world interacts with the Empire and the corporate bodies that exist. I think it's not surprising that this is next to Morlana. Mm-hmm. This exists as a cultural and economic product of the empires that's growing. I think you bring up a really good point of this only exists because the Empire is reusing so much of the Republic's material. Mm-hmm. They're not independently producing things. They are just like our current government is doing, is that they're stripping everything for parts. Mm-hmm. They're taking everything you can, destroying what is good and work, and try and find anything they can out of it to repurpose for their deeds. It's a depressing metaphor.
The thing that we talked a lot about last week was the fact that this is a free trade sector. That this is a place that is not producing its own, food and resources. I think this is a place that I think reflects where Andor is at in his life right now. Being a free trade sector, it encourages people to have a capitalist mindset, that anything is up for grabs, anything can be bought and sold, and there's no such thing as necessarily... There's a community here on Ferrix, but I think their belief in this free trade model that they are a part of is what allows the Empire to exert control over them, which is what is going to drive characters like Andor and later Marva, who we'll meet, in a couple episodes, to then rebel against that.
Yeah, I found this article on a website, I can't believe it's called Investopedia, entitled Star Wars, The Economics of the Galactic Empire by Rakesh Sharma. The quote is, "The corporate sector was established to free industry from the political wranglings and machinations of the Senate. The corporate sector's tax code is a simplified version of the individual planet tax codes. Companies with operations in the sector paid a single tax to the Republic and consequently the Empire. In fact, under the Emperor, the corporate sector's operations expanded to include 30,000 planetary systems, and a corporate sector authority was established to administrate the sector." Why is so much about Star Wars about tax policy? first of all, why does this exist? And two, why is the show? George Lucas really made it clear what the heart of the show about, which is it's about taxation.
Look, in the 90s, like, what did we care more about than taxation? So I think the fact that was so on his mind.
And in 2025, what do we care more about than tariffs and taxation? Yeah, I think Ferrix exists sort of in this corporate world where the Empire, as powerful as the Empire wants to present itself, it's still requiring a corporate partner to make sort of this whole system run. And you sort of see the range of capitalist extraction. You have planets like Tatooine, which are just base. We're taking the core materials out of this planet to all the way to you have, developed cities that are creating the economics are out of business. And we're in this sort of middle ground between those two worlds in Ferrix. We are not it's not a fully developed city planet. All cities are planets. What if there was a planet that was a whole city? But we are in sort of this middle world between those two things economically. We are in a development of, we're taking the refuse and recreating it, but we're sort of seeing the economic strata of the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, and this is very much like the lowest part of the totem pole of the Star Wars universe, like that they're nominally a part of the Empire, but the Empire doesn't even really see fit to exert direct control over them and has instead subcontracted it out to the Primor Corporation.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's the fully the bottom of the ecosystem. I think we saw the bottom of the ecosystem in Karlani.
Yeah.
That is the base of that. It starts that he is younger, and that is the planet they essentially destroy by taking all of its resources out.
Yeah,
there is sort of a structure to Ferrix that keeps the system going. It's not destroying the planet itself. It probably is through. I mean, the smoke in Ferrix probably is not good for your lungs, but it's more of a industrial situation as opposed to it being a purely we're going to take the resources out of the ground.
Yeah, so what you're saying is like if Andor was kind of rescued from like a third world planet that was the victim of Republic overmining and environmental destruction, he was able to be brought up into maybe like a lower middle class family, and now we're kind of finding him struggling against that and trying to make a better life for himself. And maybe that's even why he's going so hard to try to find his sister, in that he kind of maybe feels
some level of guilt.
Yeah, some guilt that he left her behind. That he's able to have this family, here on Ferrix, and he wants to bring his sister into that.
Yeah, I think you have this. There's sort of the idea of the global South, and I think we have the planetary South or the galactic South. Like,
yeah,
you take resources out of the galactic South for the galactic North, and we are seeing and again, we're only in the first episode. We are seeing these things sort of very quickly, but the show is clearly establishing what the show is going to be about, which is about how these economic structures and these political structures have such an impact on these characters' lives. It's hard to introduce the characters without introducing all of these structures around them. They're as important as the characters themselves.
Yeah, and I think something to really nail home is that these things are all being introduced to us with like no exposition. There's like one title card, one chyron that explains kind of where you are, but then everything about where Andor comes from, where Kassa comes from, is communicated to us through the cinematography and the production design of this like Lord of the Flies community, and the fact that they are not speaking basic really does a lot to make this world feel so alien from everything that we are used to seeing in Star Wars and real life.
Yeah, the bad screenwriting version of the show is like, we are on Ferrix, the planet which does this and does Y and Z, and we are tired of all of this. They don't say any of that. It's all communicated visually and through, like you said, the background actors. Like good costume design explains where you are. You don't have to rely on the script to keep constantly giving you exposition and explain what's going on. And that's what makes Andor such a special show, is it's able to throw in all of these things on the periphery that fill in the gaps for you, but you don't have to force feed that into your audience.
The wall of gloves. These are like giant, hardy gloves. These are not like delicate tools that they have, I think does such a good job of painting a picture of how rigorous the work that they have to do on this planet is.
And it's not a universe where everyone has matching gloves.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own sort of little color. Everyone has their own, like, there's a diversity here of personality that you would not be able to find if this was the Empire, they would not allow that level of individuality. Everyone would have to be wearing the same gloves and the same color and a real fascist, standardization that doesn't exist here.
Which we'll see when we, land in prison, of how that conformity is so normal to the Empire, but so alien to humanity.
Thanks to our listeners for 20 minutes on gloves.
That's the Andorks promise.
The Andorks promise is that we will go 20 minutes on gloves.
If you don't want 20 minutes on gloves, I'm going to be totally honest. I think you should stop listening to Andorks. With all the love and respect in the world to our friends and family who are indulging us by listening to these first episodes.
Or at least pretending to listen. Or downloading going, it was great. I really enjoyed it.
I love the podcast art, which you will.
Yes, the podcast art is so much better quality than the audio that we're producing.
We aspire to be as good as our podcast art and our theme song.
Oh, our theme song is also incredible. We are two dum-dums, and I don't know why. If you're listening to this, why are you listening to this?
I think that about does it for this week's Andorks. Stay tuned to meet everybody's favorite lovable Ferrix worker, Brasso, and also our greatest villain of the show.
Yeah, just to check in, we are 14 minutes into Andor. We've got, and there's 974 minutes total, so we've got 960 minutes to go.
We're going to chip at it 1 week at a time, 7 minutes at a time. It's going to go by, I think, before you know it.
God, I hope so.
960 minutes. I just want to highlight. I know that sounds like a lot, but it's not 1,000. I think is important to say.
Yeah, it's not 1,000.
And
it's more than 900. How many days is that? Oh, it's only 0.667 of a day.
Yeah, totally reasonable. Before we go, I want to highlight that this is the episode that is going to be dropping on the day of the Emmys. And so I want to give my condolences to all of the performers who are not getting nominated, let alone taking home any trophies.
If you're listening to this before the Emmys, don't expect a lot for the Andor cast and crew getting rewarded. The White Lotus reigns supreme.
Yes, we need to make sure that every cast member of the White Lotus can potentially win an Emmy. They may as well just give it to all of them. I would prefer if they just had best cast member of the White Lotus.
All I will say is that HBO is a wonderful company, and I would be happy to work for them, and I will say nothing bad about their product.
We love Disney. We love HBO. We love the White Lotus. We love working, and we love you. So thank you for listening to Andorks.
Is that our sign off? We love you?
It can be.
I think that's our sign off. Thanks for listening to Andorks. We love you.
Thank you for listening to Andorks. We love you.
Bye, everybody.